tips and tricks of this last chapter, which is assessing the performance. Okay, I want you to remember something important. Now, if you've completed the training, all you need to do is one more revision of the training material and then just stick with these tips and tricks. For example, all our students, participants, you know, every time because online, so all sessions we record them so they can review them later. So, after each session, we send them an email asking them to review the recording, rewatch it actually within 48 hours after the session, so that they are still fresh in their memory and remember probably what we said. And they're done with the training because training they span over a month up to so during that particular training period. Now, if they rewatch the recording immediately after each session, so before the next session takes place, then that's enough as a revision for the training material, and then they need to stick with these tips and tricks. Now, in order to really remember all these tips and tricks and all the recommendations on how to answer um, each scenario, and each okay need really like almost on daily basis to review these tips and tricks. We really need to review them. And what I recommend is whenever you're practicing a mock exam, okay, um, pull out these, put them in front of you, answer the questions at mock exam with the tips and tricks in front of you. Do that for the first three mock exams until you really like get used to these tips and tricks. And then later on, you can answer mock exams without having the tips and tricks in front of you. Okay. So that's really my main recommendation to you. Okay. If you want to hit two birds stone or with one rock. All right. Now let's have some tips and tricks about assessing the performance of the project. Okay. So the key performance indicators, we can use actually KPIs for different measurements. Okay. Just avoid, please, vanity metrics, vanity measurements, because those they don't give, they don't provide any value. So let me add it here because it's not mentioned. Avoid vanity metrics. Okay, those are metrics that actually provide no valuable information. Now remember, performance variance. That's again mindset as you or have. Now we always conduct a root cause analysis when we have an issue, or we have a conflict, or we have a performance. Okay, so whether it's performance variance, you need to find out the root cause from some gap analysis. Okay, and action that might include a change request or preventive action. Okay. So again, you might have noticed because this is the last chapter actually, you might have noticed that actually performing the root cause analysis or the gap analysis that in those in several scenarios and is the same like resolving the conflict or an issue or with the performance. Then they start with the or analyze the situation or the root cause. Okay. And it's the same, when we have a problem with a vendor or a problem with a team member or a problem with a stakeholder, then a direct communication, face-to-face meeting is also favored. So you see that same mindset PMI is applying, on different parts of the project. Okay. Now, there are different terminologies when it comes to the earned value analysis or AC is for actual cost. planned value. Planned value, that's the okay. Budget at completion, that's the budget of the project, BAC. Cost variance, that's CV. Schedule variance, that's SV. Cost performance index, that's CPI. And schedule performance index, that's SPI. Okay. Now, in case you have a cost variance and or schedule variance bigger than zero, and a cost performance index and or schedule performance index, that means the project is ahead of schedule. And so here use resource leveling if we have an overallocate, or also we can use a crashing in case that's requested. Okay, but if the CV and SV are below zero or the CPI and SPI are below one, then here the project is behind schedule and over budget. Okay, so here we cannot do any crashing and we cannot extend the schedule, but we can tracking because that will shorten the. Now, when the TCPI, complete performance index, when the TCPI is below one, that means the project can be completed easily because based on the formula, which we will see later of the TCPI, that the TCPI that measures the required performance to be in order to finish the project. So if the required performance to finish the project is less than one, that means that's good. But one, that means we work additional extra time or add resource. Now, again, other terminology of estimate at completion EAC. That means how much we estimate the total project cost to be once the project is done. Okay, and if there is variance between EAC and BAC, then we need to add, we need to create a change request. Let me pull it for you here. Let me pull it for you here. Okay. If EAC, how to what? No, I need does not assign equal. Yeah, this is one. Now let me put for you here. Okay, if A does not equal. Okay, BAC and change request is needed. When this pair is under one, project will be completed easily. Um, but I am at resources required. Okay. All right. Good. Okay, so let's continue the terminologies. Estimate at completion, estimate to complete. That means how much money we will need from now until we complete the project. Variance at completion. Let me just put this in one more line. Okay. Action. Variance at completion, that's the difference between the estimate at complete and the budget and the complete performance index we talked about. Okay, here are the formulas. Now, question that almost everyone repeats all the time. Do I need to memorize them? Let me tell you. Yes, the answer is yes, because you can have one or two questions about earned value measurements. Uh, but if they're too hard for you to memorize, then at least learn this about CPI, SPI, SV. Their formulas are quite easy. So now let us give you some hints here. Budget at completion, that's the contingency reserve. The earned value, that's usually calculated by the percentage of work completed. Multiplied by the budget at completion. The planned value, that's the percentage of this or the sum of the planned work to be completed at the time of measurement. And that's usually a percentage that is at completion. Now, here are the four formulas. Let me put them for you in red. Actually, these four formulas, these need to memorize because they're quite easy and, just necessary ones in most of the questions, actually. Uh, wow. Uh, let's put, really? Yeah. Now, if you cannot really memorize all these formulas, just memorize this four. That's it, really. Cost variance, that's earned value cost. Schedule value minus planned value. Cost performance index, that's earned value divided by actual cost. Schedule performance index, that's earned value divided by planned value. Okay? So cost performance index, schedule performance index. These two, cost variance performance index, they take into consideration earned value and actual cost, whereas schedule variance and schedule performance index, they take into consideration earned value and planned value. Okay? So in case there is a variance the project and you understand from the scenario of the question that we're talking about variance in the performance, then the earn the estimate at completion that's with the formula budget at completion cost performance index. So in case of variance, estimate at completion budget at completion divided by cost performance index. In case the variance will end, so it mentions in the text that the variance will end and we will return to the normal, to the plan. Okay, then the formula of the estimate at completion will be actual cost plus budget at completion minus earned value. In case of an updated plan, or is original estimates were not actual or whatever, estimate at completion will be the actual as the remaining work complete. We do it the most precise formula on how to calculate estimate at completion. That's when considering CPI and SPI, and that will be actual cost plus budget at completion minus earned value divided by CPI times SPI. Estimate to complete formula, that's estimate at completion minus actual cost. Okay, it's the opposite of this one here, okay? And to complete performance, the formula is budget at completion minus divided by budget at completion minus actual cost. And in case the CPI is and 1, so below 1, and we have an approved change, again, remember, you should have request, then the index, that's budget at completion minus earned value, estimate at completion minus earned value. Okay? And as I said, PMI, tends not to have really, complex exercises about, making calculations. So, understanding what's written in this page can actually save you, fairly. All right. Another performance measurement, and that's in the business environment. So use cost-based benefit analysis in case you want to convince a stakeholder of a solution. Okay. You want to compare between projects using the IRR, the internal rate of return, then the project with the highest IRR is the most beneficial. Also, we have seen in our training other formulas such as the ROI formula, but usually those they were never present on the PMP exam. The net present value also the same. It was never present on the PMP exam. I think at least my students never told me. So the NPV value of the future income in present, in case we have a negative N, it means the official payback period. This term means needed to break even the investment, and the time to market. That's how much time from creating the product until delivering it is required. Okay, how much time is required from creating the product until delivering it into the market. The S curve, that curve shows the cumulative cost of the project over a specific period of time. Okay, are all our tips and tricks with some summary. Now these are assessing performance, and we've just completed the tips and tricks for all different chapters in what's required for the PMP exam. And we will be having the next two sessions next week and the week after for uh, answering questions, okay, that are very similar to the ones in the PMP exam. Okay, now let's put this in a separate recording, and let's guys if you have any questions. Okay.